Man, look at this guy sliding in here in the last 10 seconds. Before
How
we went
about
to the intro video, he wasn't even here, and here he is. Surprise, surprise, everybody. This is Brandon. I'm Mike, your host. We got Firecracker in here, my buddy Bagger Bader. Brandon, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do for a living? Because that's kind of relevant.
yeah. So I am the marketing manager and events coordinator for Lake of the Ozarks, Harley Davidson, and Osage Beach.
All right. And so Jack told me that you went to Mama Tried.
I did, yeah. So obviously, Mama Tried. It's up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, up there, and it was February 24th and 25th of last month. Great time, actually.
Yeah, we were talking about wanting to try and put that on our schedule, and Jack said, well, Brandon's going. He should come on the show and tell you everybody all about it. So he volunteered you for that.
Yeah. He likes to volunteer me every once in a while.
It's all right. So I've never been. I know Firecracker's never been. Steve, have you been?
Never have.
So
It's something, honestly.
tell us that have never been what we would need to know about the event. You know, before as somebody that's never been before, what to expect, what there is going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, the idea behind it is a show for custom builders. Essentially, it is what I would consider kind of the pinnacle of a custom building, and so it's a weekend event. It was based at the Eagles Lounge there in Milwaukee, which is a really cool building. It's like 3 levels of vendors, and then at the very top there's a big ballroom. And that's where all the bikes are at. So essentially, it's around building custom motorcycles.
Cool. Well, we got a few people popping here. We're up to 20 already, Brandon. So Rudy Sparing's in here and said good evening. We got My Done Life on here, the Wagonators, Wacky Crusades. If you don't know the Wagonators, you probably would by sight. They come into the dealership, they're locals. And then Jonesy's rides in here and stuff. So I guess, I think I saw some videos. You got to go to the Flat Out Friday, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's kind of part of the event, right? It's marketed as part of the event.
Yeah, that was Friday. I do believe they did some racing on Thursday as well. I didn't get to that one, but I did make it to the Friday night race.
So is that kind of like somebody told me they race anything and everything, like mini bikes, small bikes, but it's a small indoor track, right?
Yeah. So it's an indoor arena essentially, and they put Dr. Pepper syrup on the floor, which is kind of what gives them some traction. So it's a concrete floor covered in Dr. Pepper syrup, and yeah, they had dirt bikes, they had Sportsters in there, they even had these little mini bikes with sidecars on them. They even had Stasic races.
Oh, the little electric bicycles that y'all sell.
Yeah, the little they're like
balance bikes. Yeah, the balance bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that doesn't know about that program, that's definitely something they should be checking out. I believe the statistics say if they don't learn to ride a bicycle, they'll never learn to ride a motorcycle. So the more kids we can get on Stasics, balance bikes and bicycles, and the earlier we can get them on them, the better off we are for our community and our lifestyle.
I agree.
Oh yeah. Now also they some of them will dress up like with goofy costumes when they race, don't they, on Friday?
Yeah. So they kind of have, I think it's called the Goon Race. I think that's what it was. And man, there was all kinds of costumes. I think there was a T-Rex, one of them inflatable T-Rex costumes on a bike. It was a hoot. Honestly, it was a really fun show.
Was this your first time going?
Yeah, this was my first time going to Mama Tried. And
so it's something you'd put on the list to go do again?
Yes, I would absolutely do it again. It's really neat. Like I said, I think the cool part about the Eagles Lounge was the multi-levels. Each floor of that was a vendor village, I guess you'd say. And all of the vendors in the motorcycle world were there. I mean, everybody, every name you'd recognize was on a level. And it was really cool how they had it set up.
Yeah, I know a little bit about it. I know Harley Davidson helps sponsor the event and is involved in it. Some of the builders that we saw at Cycle Showcase go on to Mama Tried from there with those same bikes and stuff. So a couple of people I follow and have met at Cycle Showcase I saw were at Mama Tried, and then we ran into them at Daytona and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely on our list of something we'd like to do. Is it kind of, I mean, this, is it like in the heart of Milwaukee? Is it in a suburb or?
No, it's right in downtown Milwaukee. It's at the Pfizer Forum, is where Flat Out Fridays was, and then Mama Tried is at the Eagles Lounge, which is both are right there in the heart of Milwaukee.
So hotels, restaurants, all that kind of stuff are readily accessible.
Yeah. So we actually stayed in an Airbnb, which was right downtown. I bet we weren't 2 miles really from either venue. They were both really close. Definitely a short Uber ride right up to them.
So we got a Salty Badger in the house tonight. Now Salty got invited, and he revealed him and his son did a build. His son built it, I guess, but Salty kind of helped and was there with him at Cycle Showcase. And I know they're looking to do more shows and stuff like that. So he was one of the guys at Cycle Showcase I was talking to about Mama Tried. And then, of course, I don't know if you know who Witchcraft Cycle Works are, but they're local also here in Central Missouri. And they go to Bike Fest and everything. They're good friends of ours. They're out in the shop. He's probably cutting something up, welding something up, or, either that or he's drinking whiskey and Coke.
Making something faster.
He's probably doing both.
Actually, I think he likes 7 instead of Coke, but he's probably having a Beam and 7.
Hey, Brandon, so have you been to Cycle Showcase in St. Louis? And if so, then go ahead.
I have not. No, I wanted to make it this year and just couldn't make it, but I'd like to see it as well.
Yeah, because what I really like, I was hoping you did, and then that way we could kind of see what the differences are. Because it sounds like both shows are really, really good.
Yeah, I think Mama Tried's probably got a little more sponsorship for location and some of that, and probably a little more national brand vendors. But Cycle Showcase is definitely working on it.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, he is.
Did you get to see the Cycle Showcase show at the Encore during Bike Fest last year?
No, unfortunately, during Bike Fest, I've pretty well got my hands full.
You're gonna have to tell Jack that you've got to take a long bathroom break and run over there next year if he's back.
I heard it was a really good venue. I had some people that had went the day before and then showed up at the dealership and talked really highly of it. Said it was really nice.
Yeah. Randall, the guy that puts it on. If you decide you're going to Cycle Showcase, let us know. We've gone the last 2 years. I'm sure we'll go next year, but we can probably introduce you to him at least. Get a chance to say hi. He's a really likable guy. We go on Friday nights to Cycle Showcase because they have like a Meet the Builders night, and so we go up and hang out, get to meet a few of the builders. We've gotten to know a few, getting to know more and more every year. So
very good.
So on Mama Tried, I mean, when you're talking about vendors, I'm assuming we're talking like the top tier vendors like Vance and Hines and, the brands that everybody recognizes.
Right. Yeah. And, a lot of it was parts and accessory vendors, clothes vendors, most of the mainstream motorcycle vendors that you recognize and see that are associated with Daytona and Sturgis and things like that. Those are the names that you would see in there.
Yeah. Dying Breeds here tonight. Salty said, Mike, what show we were talking about in Milwaukee? I think that was Mama Tried. That's in Milwaukee, and unless there was another one he was thinking of. But and somebody mentioned that the Donnie Smith show's coming up this weekend. But Salty, you'll have to tell me where. I know that name of that show, but I don't remember where it's at. But I think it's
in St. Paul.
I was thinking it's kind of here in the mid part of the country still. Yep. Do you think bike shows?
Donnie's a legend. I mean,
so Brandon, do you think bike shows are becoming a more and more popular thing at this level? Not so much like a ride-in bike show, but like an exhibition of art.
I think so. I mean, it seemed like there was quite the draw to Mama Tried. I mean, there was all types of motorcycles. I mean, there was foreign motorcycles, there was American-made motorcycles. I mean, single cylinders, V twins, I seen of all makes and kinds up there. And again, the class of people that goes with each one. And so I really do think there is quite the draw, at least an ever expanding draw, it seems like, to the custom motorcycle world.
Well, that's always good for business. You got to buy something to start with. Then
that's right.
Start customizing it. So That's cool to hear about. Mama tried. We definitely want to go. If you're going again next year, maybe holler at us. And if you need somebody to take up a room in an Airbnb or something, maybe we can work something out.
Yep.
It's definitely on our to-do list. It's also a matter of, like all things, you have to afford it, and there's only so many vacation days. It starts on a Friday. Did you guys get there like Friday day? Did you travel all day Friday, or did you get up there Thursday night, or how'd you guys do it?
Yeah, so really interesting story. Actually, we took a train, believe it or not. We took a train out of St. Louis to Chicago, and then Chicago on into Milwaukee. And we got there early Friday afternoon, got checked into our room, and then was able to catch an Uber over to Flat Out Friday, which is what we watched that afternoon. So we made it just in time for the race. It was really neat actually taking the train up there. That was a new experience for me. I had never rode a train before.
That sounds like someplace I could sit and bury my head in a computer and work while we rode. So
Yeah.
that's the problem with travel times. I can't get anything done. So we took an airplane to Daytona this year, so I got to work a little bit, but I'm too cheap to pay for the Wi-Fi on the plane. So everything I did, I had to do offline.
Now, Brandon, I took a train ride from Kansas City to St. Louis years ago, and in one of the cars they had a bar. Did they happen to have a bar on this train?
Yep, they did. I can't. They had a dining car essentially, but it also doubled as a bar, if you want to call it that. But yep, they had one.
Oh, we'd be in trouble.
I know I was.
Yeah, especially if you're going to Uber once you get there.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably drank less at Daytona Bike Week than we have at any bike rally we've ever been to, maybe less than any week we've ever spent together. But of course, we were riding Harley Davidson's corporate-owned vehicles, so there was no drinking and riding. So that was incentive to stay pretty sober. We would go back to the resort and have a drink or two, but we didn't drink much all week.
Nope.
So we just did Daytona. Have you been to Daytona yet, Brandon?
I have been to Daytona, the city, but I have never been to Daytona Bike Week. I've always wanted to go. I've never made it there.
Well, I mean, not to touch on it too much, but just to, for a quick, it's a different environment than any other bike rally I've been to. It's not a bike fest feel. It's not a Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue feel. It's not a Sturgis feel. Down at the Speedway, they have like a path that you can ride your bike down and people walk down, and it's kind of a pain because it's full of slingshots and sport bikes that are revving 14,000 RPM trying to impress you. And the slingshots have all got 10 speaker systems with subs on them, and they're trying to blow your eardrums out. And it's just a different environment. I mean, it's still cool. We had a good time. But it's definitely a different vibe at the Speedway than it is anywhere else. Now, Destination Daytona at the dealership where the vendors are and stuff, that was a little more like what I'm used to. But down at the Speedway and on Main Street even, it was, a lot bigger variety than the traditional American cruisers that I'm used to seeing at Bike Fest or Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue.
Yeah, I've actually
Go ahead, Brandon.
that have come to Bike Fest in years past, and basically have described that very much the same. Difficulty trying to get down the main drag there with all the traffic and getting backed in. So it's kind of a consistent view that I've heard, anyways.
Well, I can tell you, the next time someone bitches and moans about the traffic at the strip at the lake, I'm going to tell them to go to Main Street in Daytona, and then come cry me a river.
No, I'm going to tell them to go on their motorcycle when they're having their St. Pat's parade at the lake so they can sit in an hour and a half waiting traffic like we did last weekend.
Yeah, we thought we'd get there after the St. Pat's parade was over, but let's just say it's not something they're trying to hurry everybody through. Put it that way.
Right. Yeah.
So, Travis said, but the chicks, so I'm sure he's talking about Daytona. And Travis, like most bike rallies, the pictures you see online are the highlights.
Yeah. The 10%.
It was definitely an experience.
And Daytona was cool. We unfortunately, we missed out on riding on the beach. I will tell you, anybody, and it's going to be in one of my videos that. So they charge you $20 a head to ride on the beach after 8 a.m. They have toll booths at these streets where you can enter the beach. Now, like I said, I'm too cheap to pay for Wi-Fi, and I'm too cheap to pay $20 to ride, 800 feet or 1,000 feet down the beach and get back off. I just wanted to get some footage on it. And the one day after I kind of figured out what the scene was and where we could get on and how it worked and everything else, then it was high tide between sun up and 8 o'clock. So I couldn't get the bike out there because it was high tide and the water was right up to the edge of the seawall, basically. So if you are wanting to ride the beach and you're cheap like me, you're going to have to pay attention to when high tide is on what days and work out when you can get on the beach and when you can't.
It's good to know.
Yeah, very. I've saw some videos of some other people, content creators that had put some stuff on YouTube here recently, and some on social, riding on the beach, and I'd heard there was a fee, but I didn't know what the fee was.
Yeah, $20. And I mean, it's not the end of the world, but for us to go as a group, I'm the only one that's worried about filming on it. Firecrackers, she'd like to ride on it, but she's not worried about filming on it. And my buddy doesn't care. And so that's $60 for the three of us. And I'm the only one that's got any motivation to do it particularly. So, it just didn't work out, but, it was a good time. We still had a good time. We stayed right on the ocean and it was cool. Stayed right there on Atlantic Avenue. We got to ride up to St. Augustine twice. Travis says, why is that not public? It is public to walk on, but not to drive on. Yeah. You can go out and walk the beach for free, but you can't drive on it. So right. We did go find a cool lighthouse at the end of A1A there, or at the end of Atlantic, into A1A in Daytona. You come to Ponce de Leon. We put that video out, but the lighthouse was cool. We didn't get
riding along the beach. Was neat to St. Augustine, and what was the last time we went to that last day?
New Smyrna.
New Smyrna. I wish we didn't. We went over there the last day before we were leaving, and we had to take the bikes back for a certain time. So we just stopped and at a place and had a drink. And I wish we would have had more time to kind of see more of that little town. Just, of course, Mike's not into the shopping. He's there to do, and I like to kind of see what little neat shops they might have or something. So, but.
Yeah, she's more into the scenic sightseeing and the shops and that kind of stuff. And
I don't.
I'm trying to find a cool place to take a photo at.
That's. I mean, he's constantly got his phone or video camera out. I got to find something to occupy myself. So I did get to find myself time to go on the beach and pick up some seashells and stuff by myself. But
did you guys move 3 different times?
Yes. 4.
We stayed 4. Yeah, we moved 3 times. We stayed in 4 different places.
And how was that? I mean, that was probably kind of cool, wasn't it?
A little bit. It was an inconvenience, but it was kind of cool to see different places and the different rooms and what they offered. We stayed at 3 different resorts and then a private condo that we rented through an Airbnb.
The worst part of it is, so our friend John, he ended up waking up, come down there with bad weather. So he just kept his truck or his bike in his truck and hauled it down there in his truck. So we would drop the bike off that I had at the new place we were staying. I'd jump on with John. We'd ride down to where his truck was parked at the other place, and I'd drive it back. And I mean, sometimes the traffic was bad, and so that took time. That took even more time out of our day just trying to get switched. So, but I mean, at least we got to experience 4 different places, so we could choose later if we go back where we want to stay.
I know there's no way that John's a better driver than I am.
No,
you guys
drive. I drove it. I drove his truck, and
he's talking about the way he drove the Hoopty Mobile in St. Louis.
I know.
And I'm going to tell you what, you and John are in a class of your own.
Yeah.
So you gotta get shit done, man.
Now, just to answer Travis's question, I haven't really talked about the bikes that I rode much. I'm going to do reviews on each of them, but I got to ride a 2024 Street Glide, I got to ride the 2024 CVO Street Glide for a day. I rode the Street Glide, the first Street Glide for 2.5, 3 days. Then I rode a CVO Street Glide for a day. Then I rode a Lowrider ST for about a day, a half day, and I gave it up because somebody missed it so bad. And then I rode the Heritage that she was supposed to ride, and then I also got a couple of hours, just a couple hours, but I got a couple of hours on the brand new Hydra Glide. That was pretty cool. So I'll have videos on all of those, and I'll be doing reviews on all of those. But I think everybody that watches the channel knows I'm kind of a Street Glide guy. So of course I liked it. That's obvious. And I was actually kind of surprised that I thought, she doesn't like the Heritage because there's no music, and she likes to have music.
It's not just that. I have my reasons, but I've got to do a video comparing why I like the ST and why I like what I do and don't about the Heritage. So I can't say much, but I will tell you my choice is the ST. And now I'm telling Mike I got to find one of those fairings and find me some speakers because we're putting that on my bike. Yep. And Travis is going to have to paint it to match.
Yeah. So Travis, I don't know if you know what I know, but if you know what I know, then it's not a secret because I know it too. So Travis said I know a little secret about John. So I don't know if it's what he's up to this weekend or not, but if it is, it's not that big a secret. But yeah, John's riding a metric bike, but he's been shopping really hard, and we've been watching for him. He's picky about color and miles, and he doesn't want to pay for new. So, but I think he might have found something.
Hey, Travis, you sent me the paint code, so I've got it. So you're not getting out of it that easy. Sorry.
So Brandon, have you seen Firecracker's purple bike?
I have. Yep.
So Travis in the chat here is the guy that painted it for her. So he painted the purple, and then Plug Uglies, the guys that did my airbrush on my fairing, actually did the lettering for the Harley Davidson on it and the Firecracker on the front fairing of her Sport Glide. So yeah, Travis is talking about John going to look at a Harley this weekend. He messaged me last night actually about it, and he's I think found him a used one. He's may have to make a trip and pick up, but that'll be good because we're converting another guy to Harley Davidson.
There we go.
So yeah, so we've talked a little bit about Daytona, and I've got a bunch of videos about how our week went, and we're at like day 5 or 6. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through the week on the videos there. Try and get another one of those out this week, and then I'm going to do reviews on all those bikes and stuff. But so if anybody's interested in the Daytona thing, it's there on YouTube. If you got questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I thought while we had Brandon on here, we would also talk about Ozark Rides Rally because it's coming up, and it's kind of going through a transition this year, right, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. So I start off with the dates. It's May 9th through the 11th this year. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It is going through a little bit of a transition. So we're in the 4th year of Ozark Rides Rally, and year 1 through 3 has been predominantly at the dealership. So all of the rides were based from our dealership and came back to our dealership. That included some vendor villages and some events and things like that. And honestly, we had a great success with it. Had great turnouts. The scenic rides are always fun. And of course, those are guided. And this year, the Bike Fest committee has overseen or basically overtaken the Ozark Rides Rally in an effort to grow it, to make it more of a lake area wide event.
So that's not going to put all of the burden for event planning and organizing strictly on the back of the dealership. This is now you're sharing responsibilities and things with the same committee that puts on the Bike Fest rally that we're used to attending in September, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so it encourages, obviously more businesses, but a greater area for people to get involved, much like Bike Fest is. So Bike Fest is not only at our dealership, it's across the lake, as you say. It's all the way down to the Strip and other areas, even on the east side and west side of the lake. And so Ozark Rides Rally, in an effort to grow it and make it bigger, that's where we took it. And we're excited. We're hoping that it'll be another great year for it.
So, I've been to it. I know a little bit about what's coming up, but you probably know and can describe some of the details about what you guys are got going on this year, what's new, some of the things that are happening. Do you want to kind of share with somebody, like, how many days it runs, and kind of the maybe an overarching, I'm sure there's probably some details still being worked out, but some of the highlights of what you guys have got to offer this year for people that want to attend the event?
Absolutely. So the idea of Ozark Rides Rally is around motorcycling. It's about riding a motorcycle. And so what it starts with is guided scenic rides. So again, it's May 9th through the 11th. That's a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And there's 5 rides each day. Those lead out from different locations throughout the lake at different times. For example, the first ride leads out at 9:30 from Bridal Cave and goes to the Great American Campground. There's a ride at 11, 1, 3, and 4. This year, one of the exciting things, and I'm really excited about this, I think it's going to be great, is May 9th, we are having laps at the track. And so what that is a partnership between Lake of the Ozarks Harley-Davidson and Ozark International Raceway. And that's a guided ride from our dealership to the Ozarks International Raceway. And then you get to do laps around the track. So if you can kind of think of the King of the Baggers experience, and you get to take your motorcycle out and ride a road course. We have one right here in our backyard, and it's really exciting. So that happens May 9th. And you need to, if you want to attend that, you need to make sure you get on our website and sign up for that. It'll be an exciting event.
Okay, so I just actually signed up the other day.
Very good.
Yeah, I got a business partner that races cars down there. And so I've actually watched video of him racing his car. I mean, that track looks phenomenal and has tons of undulation, and it's fairly new. So I'm looking forward to that. And anyone that likes to race, I would think this would be a great opportunity to, because I'm assuming it's guided, so we're not going to be able to just go out there and race total hell, but still, what a great opportunity. Right.
Yes, yeah, it is. It is led laps around the track. I don't think we'll be scraping pegs and floorboards too much, but yes, it will be laps around that. You will get to experience some lean angles and things like that, and rises through the straightaway. So it's going to be fun. Obviously, it'll be under a controlled environment, but I think it's going to be a really fun experience. Something that will be new to the area, anyways.
Now, I believe I saw this, but there are a limited number of riders for the laps on the track, right? So you guys probably still have some openings, and if people want them, they need to get somewhere and get signed up for that. And how do they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're limiting the spots to 20 spots per time slot. So there's time slots between 10 and noon, and each one leaves in 30-minute increments. So 10, 30, 11, 11:30, and noon, and 20 spots for each one. So easy way to sign up, go to our website, lakeoftheozarksharleydavidson.com. If you go to our events tab and you click on Ozark Rides Rally, you'll see it. It pops right up. It's a banner right at the top. It says laps at the track. When you click on that banner, it'll take you right to the sign up page. It's important that you do that because there's some instructions that you'll receive in an email after you sign that up. So just to kind of give you a synopsis of how that works, once you submit that form comes to me. I then place you in a spreadsheet in the time that you selected, and then you will get an automated email, and that instructs you what time to show up and what to expect. The important part there is that you've got to have a waiver and a wristband. So that's why everybody needs to sign up, because if you don't have a waiver and if you don't have a wristband, well, the insurance companies won't let you ride on the track. So got to have that.
And what I thought was interesting is to get that waiver and wristband, you have to go to the dealership. And
Correct.
Then and then you guys guide us to the track. So don't just go straight up. Don't just show up at the track. You got to go down to the dealership first, correct?
Allowed onto the track. So be sure that when you do sign up, that you arrive prior to your sign up time, and meet with us. There'll be a guided ride over there. We're going to go through the waiver and get to wristbands, things like that. It's about a 35 to 40-minute ride, depending on traffic over to the track. And then once you get there, you'll show your wristband. and then you'll be led onto the track. I think, if I remember correctly, whenever I talked to the track, they're going to have some activities there as well. So it ought to be a really fun event.
Now, I'm going to throw you guys a little shout out here just so Ozark International Raceway knows if they hear about this. But I'm assuming you know who the Wyman brothers are.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
So when I went to Vegas, I was sitting just right across the aisle from Cody Wyman, who's running the Hooligan Series, the Super Hooligan Series for Kyle Wyman Racing this year. And we were talking, and I brought up the track there in Missouri on the west side of the lake, and he has heard of it. So, I mean, they're getting some racers know who they are. You know, the Wyman brothers know about it and stuff. And I know I've heard that the track is not ideal for motorcycle racing, but there might be some opportunities in the future there or something. So that would be very cool to see stuff happen, or even if it was just exhibition stuff or meet and greets at the lake and get a racer there or somebody. I know when I was at Vegas, I got to watch the race team, the factory race team for Harley Davidson, James Rispoli and Kyle Wyman, bring out the new race bikes with the new styling and everything. And we couldn't talk about it for a couple of weeks, but they brought them out and they did a hot lap on the Las Vegas Speedway. And let me tell you what, it was a hot lap. They were flat moving.
Yeah. So we're hoping, obviously I don't know that hot laps is going to be the term to describe laps up the track for Ozark Rally. But it ought to be an interesting event nonetheless. And I think it's going to be a really good time. But, you know, the nice part about that's just day one. That's just May 9th. There's still guided rides throughout the rest of that day. Another really exciting event that I think that people are going to really be excited about is on that Friday. So that would be May the 10th. One of the guided rides leads from Leprechaun's Corner in Camdenton to the Encore Grill. And they have got an MMA fight scheduled. And so that's through Knuckled Up Promotions and the Encore Lakeside Grill and Sky Bar. And so they're going to have a fight down there. That starts at 6. That's going to be really fun. So that's also a part of Ozark Rides Rally this year. And I've seen, if you haven't seen some of the flyers for it, just the flyers will get you amped up. There's one on Ozark Rides Rally events tab there on our website. And you can click that too and get some tickets for it. But that ought to be a really fun event as well.
Yeah, I saw a promotion just this last week about the MMA fight there and stuff. And, you know, so I think you guys are, you know, everybody's working together, moving this in the right direction. And one thing I really enjoy about the Ozark Rides Rally is it isn't just a bar thing. It's get out and ride. It's not just about going to watch. Not that there's anything wrong with the bar thing and going and watching live entertainment. I love that aspect to it also. But I like the fact that this ride is trying to show people the scenic and the beautiful rides we have here in the Ozarks that they might not experience if they just came to Bike Fest. Because to be honest, at Bike Fest, there's a few special rides like the veterans ride they do to raise funds for the veterans and this and that, but there's not a lot of promoted riding routes or activities outside of Lake of the Ozarks. And I think that's an opportunity for us to expand and to grow people. I mean, I meet people, we come home a lot of times, we'll come out the kind of the back way from the Camdenton area, and we'll cut down, instead of taking, 5 south, we'll cut off that back way and hit in down at Richland and across through there, and to stay on the side roads and the 2-lane roads. And I'll run into people out there and I'll ask them, how they like the rally or this and that. And they're like, oh, we love the riding. If the people get out of town and they get to experience it, that's the responses. I love the roads and the riding out here.
Right. Yeah. And if you just use Google Maps to go from location to location, in the lake area, you're going to be running 5 and 54. I mean, that's really all you're going to do. And so Ozark Rides Rally, man, it capitalizes on the roads that are around the lake that a lot of people who come to Bike Fest don't really even know exist. And oh man, I just thought of this. One of the exciting things for this year's Ozark Rides Rally is we're doing an adventure ride. So I'm really looking forward to that. Last year, whenever I was doing Ozark Rides Rally, I had several people who were showing up on Pan Americas and GS and Yamaha Tenier and things of that nature. And they're like, man, we really like an adventure ride. So this year we've got an adventure ride, and that ought to be really fun. It goes down around through Tunnel Dam. And if you've ever rode any of those more or less trails down there. There's some awesome views down in there.
Yeah. So I mean, I when I got to borrow Jack's Pan Am to take it on a demo ride, I was going to go to Swinging Bridges only to get down there and find out it was closed off. But yeah, there's some beautiful rides and places around there to ride and get off the road and take them down gravel roads and, kind of get out of the, out of the scenery of town and out into really the back roads, the backwoods. And an adventure ride's a great way for people to experience, the off the blacktop side of the Ozarks as well.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. There's so much out there that's just off the beaten path, and really, it's right there, but it may not be the fastest route. That's why I say, that the Google Maps, it's nice sometimes, but boy, it'll sure miss a bunch of pretty views.
Well, I wish you guys a lot of success. I want to see this event grow. I'm always for promoting events here in the Ozarks. That's part of what the channel's about. Highlighting the events we have here and the riding we have here and stuff. So, I'm sure we'll see you up there. We won't get to make it on Thursday. We're short on vacation time this year with going to Vegas. That was an unplanned thing. When Harley invited me, I did not have a lot of vacation time stacked up. So, and then turn around going to Daytona. So we're scraping by this year on vacation time, but we are going to come up on Saturday. We'll come up Friday night probably and see you guys and do the Ozark Rides Rally on Saturday. And then, of course, I put out a list of events this year. We've got, for people that are asking, we've got, Spring Fling and International Female Ride Day coming up in Arkansas. We're going to try and make it to Homecoming in Milwaukee this year. Going to see some Jelly Roll and Hardy and Red Hot Chili Peppers and have a good time up there. And I had people ask why wasn't Sturgis on the list, but if you think about it, Daytona was 5 days. If we were to do Sturgis, and for us, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but like if I got to travel 2 days on a motorcycle to get there, I want to spend 5 days there. I'd almost travel 2 days to spend 2 days and travel back 2 days. So
Right.
Doing Daytona and Sturgis in the same year for us is just really hard. So especially when we have Bike Fest, Bikes, Blues and Barbecue, and the Freedom Rally and all these other things that are local that we have to take time off for to do. So it's just the way it's going to work out this year. But we are looking forward to the events here in the Ozarks. And I just put out an event schedule on social media for people that are interested in where and what we'll be doing. Your guys, again, why don't you go ahead and give everybody out the dates again for the Ozark Rides Rally? You said May 9th through the 11th?
Yes, May 9th through the 11th. It's all day, each day. The best way to find information for that is our website, Lake of the Ozarks, HarleyDavidson.com. Go to the events tab, click on Ozark Rides Rally, and pretty much everything you need to know is right there. We also have a social for it. It's just Ozark Rides Rally. Pretty easy to find on there. And we keep most of our up-to-date information on those two spots.
Well, and I share posts out for the event sometimes, and especially when I see things interesting like the track day. So if you're following me, you can probably go back through my feed and find them if you can't find it by searching. But we wish you guys all the luck with Ozark Rides Rally and of course Bike Fest and the whole committee. I'm glad to see them getting involved and promoting this and growing this into a bigger event for the whole community and to promote our lifestyle in a bigger, better way.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well.
And you're welcome to hang out with us, but I know you asked about time. So, I mean, if you got family or other obligations, don't feel like you got to hang out with us. I brought myself some refreshments, so I'm good. We usually do this for an hour to 2 hours. So we'll probably talk a little more, answer some questions about Daytona and stuff, but don't feel obligated to hang out if you've got other things to do, Brandon.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you all have it. Again, if you guys have any questions, Lake of the Ozarks, HarleyDavidson.com, or give us a call, 573-302-7600. Mike, thanks for having me on. It was good to see all you guys, and I look forward to seeing you at the rally.
All right. Take care.
Hey.
So, all right. Now, I guess if anybody's got any questions, we can put those out in the chat. They got anything they want to talk about with Daytona? If they want to know if Firecracker got drunk and showed her boobies on Main Street, just feel free to throw that out there in the chat. But
Well,
there
I
will
think
be
we're
no.
gonna need
There, will-
video proof of that, aren't we?
you can try and find some.
Okay, I've got one major thing that I want to talk about Daytona on. So while you guys were down there having a blast, I had to sit on YouTube and watch everybody's little videos on it. One thing that concerned me was, and you've kind of touched on it, it looks like Daytona is a melting pot of all genres of motorcyclists, from what I saw.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you. Do you consider a slingshot a motorcyclist?
No, it's a car.
Okay, it's got a steering wheel. Three
So
wheels,
anywhere from
three
a
wheels or
car-
four wheels. It's got a damn steering wheel.
Right.
So it's
So-
not just. So that's the part of the issues. It's not just motorcyclists.
Yeah.
I mean, they let the slingshots run down the speedway walk area just like a motorcycle does, and they're rolling down through there with stereos on, trying to draw attention, trying
Well,
to.
didn't they have a tent that you could test drive one? They had them for test
Probably,
drive.
yeah,
didn't they?
probably. But I
Um,
mean, but I think the walkway really should have been limited to two wheels.
Yeah.
But
So-
that's just personal because I'm
Yeah.
probably because I'm like Steve. I think a slingshot's a car. It's a convertible car missing with a missing tire.
So one of the things that really concerned me was I was watching a YouTuber's vlog, and they were traveling down what obviously was a busy street, and there was a long line of motorcyclists in front of them and behind them.
mhm.
Next thing I know, I see a bike pass them. And I thought, well, that's weird. And then I saw more and more bikes pass them. And I thought, what the hell is going on? So, did you guys see any of that happening? Or was this just an isolated situation where our biker etiquette is you never pass? You never pass a group in front of you.
Was it that they were trying to park somewhere? Because
No,
let me
they were traveling down a road. It was, there was a second gap between each bike, just normal, just like you at
Riding staggered.
Yeah, and they had biker, and you could tell because when they were looking at these guys, when they were going by, they're like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah, they were cutting through a formation. Is what you're saying?
They were cutting. Yeah, they weren't riding under what we consider the proper etiquette. And I thought, I wonder if that's where one of our friends that goes there has been going there the last 4 or 5 years. Why he uses the term douchebags.
Well, I can tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. So we didn't get to party. We didn't drink. So I wanted to experience Main Street. And to be honest with you, you know how I like to drink and have fun. So we saved Main Street for the last Friday we were there because we were close enough at the place we were staying we could walk. We walked down there and we weren't there very long and we were just walking and I was like, I'm ready to get out of here. I don't know. I told Mike, maybe I'm getting old, but I mean, I've been around a lot of places, Spike Fest. It doesn't bother me to stand there, but it was just one holy packed mess. And just, I don't know. I didn't feel right there. I just was ready to, I was like, I don't.
Did you feel safe or did you not feel safe there?
There were spots that I didn't feel safe. And I felt like there's a lot of people that are kind of acting stupid, to be honest. But, it was something that I could have cared less. I would have rather went back to my motel and hung out with a group of friends or something like that, which we walked all the way down pretty much and then walked the other side. And they're pulled up on the curb, like the sidewalk. Their bikes are all parked there. People walking by. And I told Mike, there's no way I would park my bike here. People walking by are brushed up against them and everything else. I can't imagine people what kind of scratches and stuff they're getting on their bikes by people walking down through there because there was just enough room pretty much for you to walk. And if somebody tried to walk beside you, you were trying to keep from hitting a bike. And maybe that was part of it is because I felt uncomfortable because I didn't want to damage somebody else's bike, too. But I mean, I just thought it was just crazy. And I just I didn't enjoy that part.
So Firecracker, this is the question, and I've seen a lot of people comment on this, and I know how I feel about it, but I want you to answer it first. How problematic was law enforcement? Were the Leos aggressive or messing with people, obviously acting out?
I don't feel they were aggressive. I don't feel that at some points they were aggressive enough. Um, the way people were driving, and yeah, we like to like when a stoplight changes, go fast, but just the way, even just down the strip, people were just, I feel, were driving stupid. I felt that the cops were doing their best to keep people safe. They were trying to direct traffic, be fair about that. I didn't see them mess with anybody personally myself. I didn't, but I feel, I mean, I wasn't down on Main Street most time, but I mean, I didn't feel like they were over aggressive or be mean. The one time that worried me is when we were at Iron Horse and we parked our bikes.
Yeah.
So we parked and we thought the sign was just for this little area that you couldn't park there because there was other bikes parked in the grass.
Like an entranceway to a
right.
easement
And
or something.
We thought you couldn't park there, but there was other bikes parked past it. So we pulled up there. Well, we're sitting up there hanging out, talking to one of our friends that actually moved down there, and he met us. And he, all of a sudden, our friend calls us. They were starting to write tickets for bikes being parked there. And so we had to rush out and get the bikes and move them. By that time, Iron Horse had cleared out to where we could pull in there and park. But
the cop wasn't like, oh, you're going to get a ticket or anything else.
No.
He was writing a ticket or checking a bike when we got there. Everybody was jumping on their bikes and bailing, and he didn't give anybody a hard time about moving their bike or leaving or saying, hey, I'm going to ticket you or you shouldn't have been here. He was just doing his thing. And if you got on your bike and you moved it, he didn't say a word to you.
So we were, there was some of the roads that we were on. We were coming back from somewhere like that, wasn't it, Mike? When that guy did that with the girl on the back of the bike with him. So anyways, we're riding. This guy's got a big ass back tire on his bike. And we had passed him. Well, then all of a sudden he decides to pass and get in front of me.
He passed her in her lane.
In my lane.
Like what you're talking about.
Me.
Which is what I was watching.
So then Mike goes on past him. So then the guy gets, and he just starts hitting his brake in front of me, like stopping. He's got his girlfriend on the back. He's being an ass. And I was wanting to pass, and he was riding like this all over. It was like he was trying to block me from going anywhere. And, I was kind of, it actually kind of bothered me and worried me a little bit because I got separated not far from Mike, but he was being an ass, and I don't know what his problem was. But if we probably would have followed him, I probably would have been going up and decking him or something to get myself in trouble. But I mean, that's just how stupid people are. And I mean, we've been around a lot of things where people ride stupid and stuff like that. And if you want to play stupid, that's your thing. But I told Mike, if we go back, I'd rather not go back for that many days.
Well, Steve, you'll see nobody throwing deuces. I didn't see a single person throw anybody else the deuce. The ride safe, two wheels down. Yeah. Nobody throwing deuces. I saw, like you were talking about, people cutting into groups of other people that they were obviously together. Kind of like this guy cutting between us. He kind of got up kind of beside me, but not all the way beside me. And I sped up, and I was hoping she would be able to get around him and catch back up with him. And then he started swerving, and he started slowing way down. After I gotten in front of him, then he's slowing way down. I don't know what his deal was. his gal behind him, riding behind him, was tucking her head down behind his shoulder like she was trying to hide from the wind, whether she was cold or drunk or, you know what, I don't know, but definitely.
Well, first he came up beside me and he revved his bike several times beside me, and that's when he went right by me, like in my lane, past me, and then just kind of got in front of me and stayed.
What type of, was he on a Harley or was he on like a crotch rocket? What was
he was, I would say he was on a custom build B-twin, you know, big fat wheel back bike.
Okay.
I'm going to say that I'm pretty sure Florida is where all big wheel baggers go to die. I have never seen so many big wheel baggers in one place, you know, like every other bike is a big wheel bagger show bike. But I guess it makes sense down there because the riding is not as, you know, maybe challenging here. Yeah. So they can ride a big wheel bagger because they're riding straight roads and it's not that big a deal.
So what I was kind of guessing is that these other genres of bikers maybe ride with a different etiquette that a Harley or Indian rider rides with, but it sounds like there's just maybe a lot of dicks down there that ego
don't get me wrong,
gets in the way of their riding, or
don't get me
and
wrong.
I don't think Professional Monkey would be mad if you said Professional Monkey said it's, you know, there's a lot of douches there, because I mean he said that when we were there. He said to me,
he's made it.
I think
well.
he's man enough to stand behind what he says.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't disagree with him that I seen, you know, a lot of less than considerate riders there for, you know, what I compared to like Sturgis or Bike Fest, you know.
Here's what I'll say. When I go to Sturgis and I come up on a slower group of riders in front of me, they're all staggered. They're all riding just the same way I ride. Yeah. And that seems to be throughout the, you know, once in a while, a little something here, but it looked like down there, you were dealing with all different forms of riders and all forms of different rules and ways to ride. And it just, on this one particular video I watched, it looked very dangerous. And so I couldn't wait to ask you that question.
Well, and for the most part, I mean, where we were, there was a lot of people that staggered like us and rode like us. And I'm not saying you have to ride like us, but don't be a dickhead.
Well,
and
don't
do something to jeopardize me.
John's in the chat here, and he wants to know what the secret is, Trav. So, yeah, we've been talking about you, John, and you show up in the chat. Secret is he had another girl on his bike at Daytona.
Ooh.
I was the bitch. Don't go get him in trouble. Don't get him in trouble.
It doesn't
I sent her a picture.
His wife knows what April was on the back.
I sent her a picture and I said, look, he's got another bitch on the back of his bike.
Now, how are you holding on? I mean, that's the key.
I didn't hold on. He had a little backrest back there for me. And I took pictures, and hey, it was kind of nice because I could go without my helmet for once while I was there.
Nice.
Yeah, riding the Harley bikes, we have to wear long sleeves. You got to wear boots. You got to wear gloves. You got to wear helmets. So Salty said Daytona is not a riding festival, and the crowd shows that in the behavior from what I've seen. Definitely agree. The only scenic ride that we really found is what they call the loop and up to St. Augustine. And riding up to St. Augustine, you are riding along the coast. So one side will have houses and, you know, the other side will be beachfront for a majority or a big part of it, at least. So you'll get the opportunity where you're riding right along the beach and you can see the ocean, assuming the weather is good. The first day we rode to St. Augustine, it turned foggy. We had water. The fog was so thick, water was condensing on the bike and rolling off the windshield like it was raining. So we couldn't see the ocean very well. So we got a nicer day and we did it again. But the loop is the only scenic ride, and it wasn't bad, but it's not technical or challenging. It's just the only thing that doesn't look like, you know, condos and beachfront. So but the loop was cool, and I would definitely recommend people do that, especially if you're looking for a scenic ride. But that means, you're not going to have 2 or 3 days worth of different scenic rides you can do. New Smyrna was much gooder. That's my boy John, much gooder. He didn't even
So,
he didn't even spell Smyrna right. He spelled Smyrna. But
All right.
that's all right. But yeah, it was
Okay.
New Smyrna was an opportunity to ride down that. The Sons of Speed happens to have a race down there on Saturdays. We didn't get there in time. I would definitely like to see that next time. Right, those were the older antique kind of style bikes riding with no brakes on a racetrack. So I want to see that. And there are other things to do outside of Daytona.
well, the one thing we didn't do, and I had told Mike he had asked me, and I was like, it's whatever. We were planning on doing the burning bike, and because Mike said you can go up there and write a message for someone, and I thought that would have been neat to see, but we did not make that. So next time we go, we will have to do that one.
So Jack said the reason people were being dicks about the way they ride around us is because we were riding bikes with manufacturer tags
Well,
on from
most people
Milwaukee.
thought were asking me where we were from in Milwaukee.
Yeah, they thought they just thought they were Milwaukee tags and we were from
Yeah.
Wisconsin. And then they'd ask me how you like that bike or how long did you go to get it? And I said, like 12 hours ago, I just picked this up. I just went down the speedway and just snagged one. And they're like, huh?
So,
But-
hey, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Your experience with Harley Davidson and these motorcycles. I think that'd be kind of interesting to hear how all that works. As far as going and picking them up and.
So, yeah, I had to remove a comment there. One of our friends made a comment that I can't have on the chat. If she sees that her comment's gone, she'll hopefully understand that we can't talk about that. So anyway, the experience, yes. So I mean, obviously you're riding Harley Davidson's motorcycles. There are some rules and some things like that. Like you can't be drinking, you got to wear a DOT helmet. Nothing that's, that big a deal, to be honest. They're providing you with motorcycles. It's their property. That's no different than if I was riding your bike, Steve. I would treat you with the same kind of respect as far as like not drinking on your bike or anything else. They tell you not to be doing anything that's going to get you in trouble, but they're not like, super nitpicky or anything else. They're not like inspecting your helmet for a DOT sticker. They just tell you to wear a DOT helmet and they trust you're going to do it. Bring your gloves, bring your eye protection, that kind of thing. So we got there, got off the plane. We caught us a little taxi over to the speedway. And then we went and met our friends from Harley Davidson and said, hey, we're here. And they said, hey, great. We got some bikes for you. And I mean, we didn't have to sign anything. They knew what bikes they were giving us. They gave us fobs for them. We had, a couple of bikes for a couple of days and a swap, and I swapped a little more than her, but because we both have signed these agreements with Harley, they said it didn't matter if I rode the bike that she was supposed to ride or she rode the bike that I was supposed to ride, that kind of thing. So when she got the Lowrider ST for the first few days, and she actually kind of really liked it more than she thought she would. Then when she
I've always been against mid controls, but after getting that much of a chance to ride like that, I actually like them. I mean, I actually either way, but I'll tell the rest of my video when I do it, but I was shocked that I did come to like them.
Having the opportunity, let's put it this way, having the opportunity to ride the bike for more than a 30-minute demo can change your perspective.
Absolutely.
So when we tell people about how to pick the right bike, I tell them to go do demo rides and stuff, and that's great. But if you think you found the bike you like, I would suggest if you have a friend that will let you ride one for a few hours or a day of that style of bike, whether it's a Sportster or a touring bike or whatever it is, borrow it for a day, ride it for several hours, get past that first 15 minutes of what you perceive as being uncomfortable just because it's different, and then see how you feel about it. And I mean, there's also opportunities out there, whether it's Eagle Rider or Rider Share or some of these other sites where you can go rent a bike from somebody for a day. So, I mean, before you spend, well, we just lost Firecracker. I don't know what she
Sure
was
did.
doing, but before you spend, $15,000 on a motorcycle, dropping $150 to rent one for a day is probably not a bad investment to be sure you're really going to like it and be comfortable with it. So those are opportunities. Here she comes.
So it sounds like
Where,
Harley's.
where'd you go?
I clicked the wrong button.
She clicked the wrong button.
Isn't
my
she
baby.
pretty?
She is.
Ugh.
But
So it sounds like Harley has streamlined it pretty well, made it pretty easy. That's good.
yeah, we do all the paperwork up front before we ever got there. They had everything. So they had a schedule of when we needed to be there. They knew what bikes they were going to put us on. I got the opportunity. The Hydroglide wasn't planned, but I asked, is there any chance I can ride that? They had a lot of press people who are probably a lot more important than me, who work for magazines and things like that were going out and riding it and doing photo stuff with it and everything else. But they still made time to let me get to ride it for a couple hours. And I really appreciate that. And I mean, I will say that if you like a Heritage and you want something that's different, then the Hydroglide is that. It is a Heritage, but different, a different look. If that's not your style, then sure, great. But I mean, it's only $2,500 more than a standard Heritage. And you get a custom seat, you get a different saddlebag, you get a custom paint job, you get the fact that it's limited edition. Even the speedometer, and they don't bring this up, but even the speedometer is more of a nostalgic look. So like on the Heritage, you've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 for your speeds. On the Hydroglide, it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even the faceplate is slightly different to be a little more nostalgic. It's just those little details and the emblem, things like that. I mean, is it worth $2,500? Well, it just depends on what you're into. But if I was going to buy a Heritage, I would definitely spend the $2,500 to get the Hydroglide version over a regular Heritage.
Very cool.
So Riding on Threes was down there. We got to meet him, and he's in the chat. He said riding Highway 46 out of Orlando to Titusville was rather nice. We didn't take that trip, but from what we found out was the beach at New Smyrna was the beach for people out of Orlando. It's the closest beach for them. So that's why it was a lot busier than Daytona. And we have a friend who lives down at Titusville, which is right there south of New Smyrna. So
I did see one. I watched a video where some guys went down to Cape Canaveral and went to the space exhibit thing down there, and I hadn't even thought of that, and that looked like that was worth the trip down. So
we thought about doing that, didn't we? Isn't that where we thought about going? But we were told that it'll cost you to go if you want to go see the stuff. Like
get into Cape
I think there's an entry fee. Yeah, I think there is.
Oh yeah, and the Hydroglide has a nostalgic looking air cleaner as well. And notice nowhere on the Hydroglide does it say 114. On almost all the motors, they're badged in some way somewhere. The Hydroglide doesn't do any of that. It's to kind of, I think, keep that nostalgic feel. Yeah. It's a modern motor, but they're not advertising what it is.
That makes sense.
But we did go to, I had gotten an invitation from my credit card to go to this thing, have breakfast, and get to listen to like the design team, wasn't it?
Yeah, the design team for the Hydroglide. Okay.
So then Mike asked Harley, and they're like, they had invited us something, and Mike's like, is that? And they're like, yeah. But we got to go listen to their reasoning and the way they came up with the design for that, which I thought was really neat. Them discussing how they were compared it to the years that the motorcycle advanced and how they came up with the paint scheme and all that. I thought that was pretty neat that we got to go listen to that.
So real quick, I'm gonna throw a shout out to my boys Cardo. We ran into them there, and they've got me a T-shirt, and they're hooking me up with some stuff. So they will be doing more Cardo related content. If you're into Cardos and you want to know more about them, be watching for those videos and stuff. But I just wanted to give them a shout out. It was cool to see them. They knew who we were when I introduced myself. They've been following us and stuff. And so that's a new relationship. I'm actually a Cardo and brand ambassador as of this year and stuff. So it was cool to get to meet them in person at an event, not just communicating via email or Instagram. So, Firecracker, you might have to answer this question better than me because I got kicked off the Lowrider ST for a day. After a day, I don't think I got to do 500 miles on it. But what are your thoughts? Because you rode it probably pretty much all week except for one day, really.
But that it's more geared like my bike now. So I really, really liked it. I really like after all these years have said I didn't like mid controls. I learned a lesson that they're not as bad as I thought. The only thing is, I had no crash bar or nothing. So I would want some pegs put out there or, crash bar pegs or something so I could stretch my legs out because I do have a bad knee. So that would be probably my only complaint.
Some kind of highway peg setup.
Yeah.
That's an easy fix.
And it's not really a complaint, but that would be the only thing probably for me that I would change. But I'm kind of used to that style of bike, and so
Sonny's in the house.
It's probably more of a question for you, Mike, because you ride a bigger bike than me. And
well, I didn't get to ride it long enough to say how I would like it for 500 miles in a day. I can tell you my initial response to it was, I'm going to feel cramped on this bike. I'm going to feel like I'm going to get cramped up. But I rode it from, we picked it up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock or something like that. I rode it all evening. I rode it part of the next day, the next morning a little bit, and then we swapped. And, so I didn't do a lot of miles on it, but I did do a couple hours on it, and I never did get cramped up. I kind of felt like I was going to, because it's a little mid controls, it's a little more of a cramped position than I'm used to, but it didn't actually bother me. But I didn't get to do 500 miles. Unfortunately, I can't give you a good answer for that. Maybe we'll get an opportunity in the future to get one for a weekend or something like that, where we could do a long-term review. I'm hoping to some opportunities like that might open up this year, where I could, kind of like what happened at Daytona, but where I would get to ride a bike for a week or a long weekend or something else and do more of a long-term review about how it was. Yeah, Sonny said we come all the way, or the Badger said we came all the way to Florida and we missed seeing you. Yeah, it just didn't work out that we were at the same places at the same times. There is a lot going on. There's bike shows every day. And don't get me wrong, we were talking about some of the craziness there, and what we probably talked about some of the things we didn't like about it. But if you are into bike shows, there's a bike show every day. There is a bike show you can go to every day to look at bikes. And Willie's Tropical Tattoo was crazy. Crazy busy.
You couldn't even, we got there and you couldn't even really go through and look at the bikes because it was just so packed. So we didn't get to see that bike show as much as we probably would have liked,
and I think it was a ride-in bike show, so anybody could put a bike in there. So, like the Cycle Source magazine bike show that we went to at the Iron Horse, that was, I think, a little more selective about what bikes were in the show and were judged. And that was a very cool show. We got to go, we made time to go see that one at the Iron Horse. We got to see the V-Twin show at Destination Daytona. I think it was the V-Twin show, whatever the show was, the first Sunday or Monday or whatever when we got there. So it was all really cool. Came all the way to Florida and missed you guys. But the good news is, for those that don't know, we're going to see you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
The Badgers are coming back to the Ozarks, baby. So, we didn't talk about that a lot earlier when we talked about stuff with Brandon, but we are, I think, going to talk in 2 weeks specifically about Spring Fling. So that the next live in 2 weeks is going to be more focused on Spring Fling, the events, the things that are going on there, who all is going to be there. We have a buttload, and I do mean a buttload of content creators who are going to be there on Friday night for the parade and the meet and greets. So there's a moto meetup on Friday night at the Switchback Bar from 5 to 7. And then we're going to do a parade from Switchback Bar to the Cat House. And then we're going to do another meet and greet. I scheduled the time at 7:30 just because we have that parade and I don't know exactly the timing, but then we're going to do a meet and greet starting at 7:30 at the Cat House. So I know the Badgers are going to be there. Bert the Biker Dog is going to be there. We're going to be there. This guy Bagger Bader that maybe a few people have heard of, he's going to be there. Wind Road Therapy, JS, XAN Biker, JS, Witchcraft Cycle Works. Gosh, like I said, the Badgers. I mean, and if anybody else is coming that I've missed, but you know you're coming to Spring Fling, give me a shout out if you're a content creator. You want to come be a part of the meetups and the parade and stuff, we can get you on the list. But we definitely want to promote that Friday night. We're going to kick it off in a big way. We want to have a big turnout for the meet and greets and for the parade and start the Cat House and switch back off with the bang for Spring Fling.
Hell yeah. Well, I got another Daytona question. Did you make it out to the campgrounds?
Nope.
Okay.
That's where the Badgers were. They were in the land, and they can probably speak better as to how far that is, but it looked like it was 20 miles, but probably 30 minutes. We were staying, the problem is we were staying down on Atlantic Avenue by the water, by the coast. So we're really 30 minutes from the Speedway. And if they're 20 minutes from the Speedway or 30 minutes from the Speedway, then we're an hour. And then as you get late, like their event was on Friday night. Well, traffic was already getting bad on Friday night from the Speedway all the way to Atlantic Avenue. So what was a 30-minute ride was turning into an hour ride.
Well, but by the time we got back from the races, we had to drop the bikes off. No, that wasn't Friday night. That was Saturday. But anyways, but traffic was getting bad. And by the time we got back, it was like, we got to eat dinner still. And we just didn't make it to any of them.
Yeah. And we had to turn our bikes in by 4:00 on Saturday, which is no big deal. I mean, we were there at the races and of course they got to get these things packed up and shipped off, and they were already, had labels on bikes on where they were going and things like that and stuff. And I'm very thankful for the time we got to ride them. But that also meant Saturday night, we didn't have wheels. We were dependent on a lift and a ride, to get back to our room, to get to the airport the next morning, all those kinds of things. So that also made going anywhere on Saturday night besides the strip that was close to our condo kind of out of the question.
Yeah. Well, and plus originally we were supposed to be, our flight left at 6 a.m. and we're sitting there at our place because we decided just kind of lay low there on Saturday because we had to get up so early and stuff. And Mike gets a thing that our flight's been delayed. Well, then it didn't show that our flight from Atlanta, they rebooked it. So then we were like, well, now we got to figure this out. How are we? And then later on, they finally, I guess, rescheduled
our connection flight. But
yeah,
we literally were on the plane and still on the plane waiting to get off the plane when they were almost done boarding the plane we were to get on.
Yeah.
We had 15 minutes to get there and they stopped boarding 15 minutes for takeoff. So we landed 30 minutes before takeoff of our next flight.
And we had to go all the way to another
concourse at Atlanta International Airport. So we had to change concourses, catch the little tram, all that stuff, and make it to the gate in 15 minutes. It was fun, but we made it and we got home, and we were only home about 2.5 hours later than what was originally planned. So it worked out.
But I think part of it for me, I'm going to be honest. And I told I think it would have been more fun if we had more friends there that were staying where we were, like we do almost anywhere we go. We have a group of friends, but also, I didn't have the option to park my bike and ride with him if I wanted to have some drinks out or anything like that. And I think that might have made a little bit of a difference. Not that I didn't have fun, I had fun. But there's some things that I would like to have differently.
It would definitely be a different scenario if we were on our own bikes.
Yeah. But I'm not complaining that we got the bikes to ride, because that worked out perfect for us.
Yeah, it was an opportunity we might not have taken otherwise.
Right. And especially, with, what I had going on before we left, that would have put where I wouldn't have got to go at all. But luckily,
I don't know if everybody knows, but the week before we went to Daytona, I didn't see my wife from 6 a.m. on Monday until Thursday evening, because she was staying with her daughter at the hospital. They went to the hospital while I was at work on Monday. I didn't even know she was going to need to go to the hospital until I was 150 miles away on Monday at work. And she texted me, and I'm halfway across the state already because I'd left early for something. So, she went and did what she needed to do with her daughter. And we were, kind of playing it by ear. And I was concerned there was a chance we might be canceling it. And
no, because I told him, I was like, if I have to cancel, you still go. But I mean, it's still going to be
just because she told me that doesn't mean that's how it's going to work.
I mean, it's still, as far as our plans right now, they're still touch and go, because we still don't even know what's going on with her. We just know that she's still losing blood. So, and we can't even have any tests that need to be done until April 29th to see, to where they can go in there and see where she's losing blood or what's causing it. So she's got to have infusions and all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be kind of touchy on me, even on our plans right now. If something comes up, I may not be able to go. So if I don't, I still expect him to go. He's already got these plans, so.
So JS,
and JS, the races it was awesome. I think personally, when we got to see him, but it was, they didn't have the stands open where you could go sit in them until the race on Saturday. So I kind of wish it would have been more like they had them open where we could go and sit and watch them more.
She likes to be down on the track when they come by. That's what gets her excited, not watching it on TV.
King of the Baggers, we got to sit right at the
finish line.
It was cool.
Wow.
And who won?
Kyle. So,
yeah.
Was it Kyle?
Yeah.
I can't even remember which one's which.
Kyle won, and now James is upset.
I tagged him in it, but.
So Harley Davidson took first and third. The Harley Davidson factory team. Kyle Wyman won, and James Rispoli came in third.
Yeah. And who's what race team is his brother on now? See Saddleman, Kyle's brother.
Yeah, Cody is running on. Actually, Travis is running on Saddleman's team for Super Hooligan, and I think Cody is running under Kyle Wyman Racing on Super Hooligan.
So it was badass.
It was cool. But like I said, like when Saturday's the only day they had this where you could go sit in the bleachers. The rest of the time you had to sit like where they let you in and stuff.
So Thursday and Friday, because we had the 3-day pass, VIP pass, we got to sit inside the track, like in the garage area. So the Harley Davidson had a garage that was opened up for VIPs. We could pull in there. They had couches and TVs. So you could sit in this garage in the shade and watch the bikes race around the track on the TV. So that's how we watched it on Friday.
Wow.
And that was cool. It was very cool. That's where the photo, if you saw the firecracker smoking the tire on the race bike, came from. But that was a little stage thing they had set up for you and stuff. But it was kind of cool photo op. And then they had a little bit of Beach Wind was there, so they had some vendor stuff going on that you could look at. Budweiser, of course, has a beer garden and sells $10 hot dogs and things like that. But it was very cool. And I mean, I was really surprised. I didn't have hardly anybody outside of Daytona International Speedway know who I was or come up to me and say, "Hey, I recognize you." I didn't have that like anywhere out riding around or going to places. But at
You
Daytona,
did a couple places.
where?
You did at the Broken Spoke.
Did I have somebody come up to me?
And you had somebody at the Harley dealer.
That's because you're so intimidating, dude.
No, I'm not intimidating. But I did have several people at the Speedway, like the race fans who, were there for the races that did know who I was. I had a guy from North Carolina, I think it is. He didn't want to interrupt us because we were eating hot dogs, but he kind of waved. And so I waved him over and he come over and got a picture and stuff. And then I had a guy from Luxembourg. We were walking around the inside the space raceway area and he's like, "Oh, I watch your videos." And then later I was walking around, Firecracker wasn't with me. And I had 3 guys, stop me that were together that all watched the channel and stuff. So I had a few people that I got that experience with. And I want to again say, if you ever see me at an event, or you think it's me, just go up and say hi. If it's not me, just apologize and go on. But
when we were at the Harley dealer, the guy recognized me. Oh no, the guy and lady.
Yeah, I told them we would be there. Yeah.
They seen me and they knew because her husband said he's going to be hard to find because he cut his beard off and but she is going to be, you're going to be able to notice her. And
she'll have her hair in those ponytails.
As soon as she seen me, she was like right there. She was so excited to meet me and Mike. And I'm standing there thinking, I'm not special. I mean, but it's
kind of weird, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
but I mean, if it makes someone else's day, then we're happy to do it. And that's my thing is like, if you were at an event and you see us, don't be afraid to come say hi. It's as much, an opportunity for us as it is for you. We want to say thank you for watching the channel. And we really enjoy getting to meet people who support the channel and watch us and make that personal connection. So don't ever be afraid to do that if you run into us somewhere.
Well, we talk about the Harley Davidson community, and that's really what it's all about. I mean, we're nobody different than anyone else,
right?
But we love the culture. And
so we're not gonna leave this comment up long because he said Indian won, but that's my dad. He got to set. He's trying to rub it in a little bit that he got to set the finish line at COTA and watch it before I did. But I still got signatures and personal photos.
I got my pictures taken with them, and we got autographs of their pictures.
Yeah, she got her autographs.
We are sharing those, remember?
Yes. Now, Jay said something about that draft was a crazy chess game. What did I tell you, Firecracker? I said, where did I say you wanted to be going into the last lap?
You said he wanted to be in second until the last lap and then and I was just like, come on, get past him. And Mike's like, no, he's right where he wants to be. And I'm like, I get so excited though. I don't like to even sit still. I like to stand up and jump around and get all excited when I watch that stuff.
Yeah, at Daytona, when you get out on that big oval, you don't want to be leading when you hit that big oval on the last lap. You want to be the guy pulling the draft and slingshotting around. And he was able to pull it off and hold him off. He got around him a little early, but because the guy made a mistake. And did you actually see the shot where Kyle passed him while doing a wheelie? He had the front end off the ground while he was passing the guy.
Nice.
So he was flat moving it.
It was the hooligan race where the guy was in second the whole time, and right on the last lap, he ran out of gas.
Oh,
and he's sitting there like this.
I know you're talking about that. That was the Daytona 200, not the hooligan race.
Okay. But he was second place the whole time, and right on the last lap, he ran out of gas, and he's like this, and he ended up, he he
A
lost.
dozen bikes passed him in the last
Oh
lap
man,
because they ran
it
out of
sucked.
gas.
I mean, I felt so bad for him.
Can you imagine all the cuss words he was throwing out to his crew pit?
But
his
when
whole
they went and talked to him, he's like it.
It's
He
part of
didn't
racing.
blame it. You know, he didn't blame it like on his crew or anything. He was just,
He'd actually cracked a windshield, and he thought probably the lack of aerodynamics because he had to push the bike a little harder and things like that. He used a little more fuel than they anticipated, and that's probably why he ran out. But I mean, he said that's just part of racing.
Wow.
But if you're a race fan, you'll definitely have stuff to do Friday and Saturday that you can dig into and give you a full day. Daytona destination Daytonas, it's cool to go out and see all the vendors, but if you don't have a bunch of money to spend, I mean, I don't know just how cool it is. For us, we got to hang out with Monkey there for a little bit and run into Ray's Moto Life and Thumper and Mr. Mike Bodine and some other friends there, and checking out the bike show was cool and stuff, but it's not for me. Destination Daytona is not someplace I'm going to spend all day at.
and we didn't.
No,
but
but I'm just trying to share with our experience what
Yeah.
we learned from being there.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Daytona can be a lot of fun if once you kind of know the lay of the land and you can
Yeah.
kind of make it the way you want it to, the experience you want to have.
And I think, that was like even with where we stayed us staying at those different places. Now we know like 3 places where we'd want to stay or whatnot out of this one. But also we did all this stuff. We know things that we want to go back and do, things that we didn't get to do that we want to experience the next time we can do that, So it was kind of I really think if you've never been there, we discuss maybe do it like every other year or something. So next year, maybe probably won't do that, but maybe the next year, and then we can go experience the things we did.
What did we talk about doing maybe next year? Should we even talk about that on the air?
What
Yes.
next year? Sturgis?
What is next year for Sturgis?
The 85th? Is that right?
It's an anniversary year.
Is it the 85th?
I believe it's the 85th. It's the anniversary year.
But that is just like with Sturgis. When we went there the first time, we kind of learned things that we did like doing and things we didn't. But we did discuss next time we go to Daytona, going for so many days and then riding down to the Keys because I've never been there. I think it'd be neat to go there, just staying overnight and then, going home or whatever we decide to do, but doing something like that too.
Yeah, I mean, you go into the first time of these, unless you go with somebody else that's already been that kind of knows what you're into, you're always going to be trying to figure out what you like, what you don't like, what works for you and stuff like that. So, the 84th is this year. So next year is the 85th.
Right.
I just said that.
And I just confirmed it.
Boy, I'm pretty smart on that one.
Yeah, Sturgis bound again this year, hopefully for the 85th also, Jamie says. So I don't think we're going to do Sturgis this year, not unless something magical happens. But we are going to do Homecoming this year, which is something we haven't done. So this year we're doing some new things. John says next year we're doing the Keys. Or the next time we do Daytona, we're doing the Keys.
Well, we're going to get more friends to go to.
Do we have more friends?
Out there
We have a lot of friends, but that's my biggest thing. Mike's, and it's nothing. Mike's got his cameras. He's got his things to do. It's nice when we have friends. Yeah, we had John, but John doesn't want to sit there and listen to everything. So if we take more friends, then I have girls to hang out with and guys, and we can split up more. And like if we want to do this, we go do this while they go do that or whatever. I just always,
what you're saying is you're going to go hang out with our friends while I go do YouTube shit.
Well, I just enjoy any trip we go on. I enjoy having our friends there because I have people to talk to. Because at the time I talk to him, try to talk to him, and he's like, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying, and he doesn't. I can't just have a conversation with him, and that's fine. But at least then I'd have people I can talk to anytime I want, and they're not.
Yeah,
gonna,
for everybody that thinks, for everybody that thinks these YouTubers have got it easy, she'll tell you. I mean, I spent a lot of time while we were at Daytona making videos, downloading cameras, organizing stuff, making social media posts. There's a lot of, it's not just all a vacation, and the content creation part of this takes up a lot more time than a lot of people realize. If you're really trying to share the experience, which was for me, what I was trying to do was share the experience with people that weren't there.
Taking pics, yes. Gotta go drive. We drive 5 miles, stop at this place to take some pics. And I'm sitting on the motorcycle waiting. And then we go a little bit farther, not even 2 miles down the road, stop at this place, take pics. Hold the camera for me. Do this.
Hey,
Well,
I got.
Hey, I'm not complaining. I'm just laughing because John hit it on the head. And Kathy.
Hey, John, I just want you to know, in case you didn't see it because you don't ride a Harley Davidson yet, I did get featured on Harley Davidson's. One of my photos got featured this week on Harley Davidson's website for St. Pat's Day for the Alpine Green Heritage I took out on the water's edge. That shot with the big white building in the background we did. Yeah, that one made Harley's page.
Well, April, we appreciate your sacrifice because as a subscriber, I did enjoy the content that you shared with us.
I mean, it was an experience for me, and there's things that I told him I would tell him things that I really wanted to do. There was this souvenir shop I really wanted to go to. I thought since John had his truck, now I can take some souvenirs back because on the plane we couldn't, but since he had his truck, he could haul our stuff back. We didn't have to worry about it. So,
and the reason she couldn't take souvenirs back on the plane is because I'm too cheap to pay $40 to check a bag.
Yeah, pretty much. But but he did. A guy told me about the lighthouse because I wasn't sure how close lighthouses were, and he told us, and I said that's something I want to do. And I mean, they made sure that the couple things that I wanted to do, I got to do. Of course, it was perfect for Mike with the lighthouse for pictures and stuff, so it worked out for both of us. And he does do a lot of that, but I mean, I understand because you got to do it. Sometimes I get a little aggravated and I just got to go my own way for a little bit, but it's all right.
Well, so for better or for worse, April. So, yeah, Cornbread said, I'm learning more from tonight from the conversation here. And that's great. I mean, that's kind of what the lives are. When I do a video, that's me talking to the camera, and I'm trying to give you the information I think you might want. But sometimes having this interaction with multiple people and somebody like Steve to ask the question or the chat group to ask a question, then I know what you want to hear about, or I can give you my perspective on that piece of it. And it pertains to the people that are truly interested and take the time to watch the lives. And I appreciate everybody that does come out for the lives. I mean, we've got 27 people in here right now. I mean, sometimes we have 50, sometimes we have 60. It just kind of depends on the topic, but that's okay. It's been a busy, we haven't done one in a month, and I appreciate everybody coming out, and I hope we're giving you information and you're having a good time just visiting with us, talking about how April needs to get more color on her legs. And somebody just called you out by your full name.
I know. Hey, and guess what, Cassie? I took shorts with me, and I never even put them on because nobody wanted to go sit down on the beach with me.
That's what she needs Cassie for.
I even tried to get him to walk on the beach at night, and we never did that.
You can't see nothing.
So,
and I want to get sand in my hoo-ha. I mean, your hoo-ha.
Well, yours.
We're married.
We had a good time, though.
Yeah, it was, and and I hope we haven't been too negative about it, but I mean, for the aspects that were not our favorite, we'll put it that way. I mean, we just wanted to share that. I mean, because that is, you might not enjoy those things either. Like
Yeah.
the Steve talking about the way people ride. That might be something you'd be like, you know, maybe I don't want to go hang out on Main Street, or maybe I don't want to do this or do that. Maybe I want to go to the races because people ride like a crazy person down here, or whatever it is. Now I can say, you know, that if you want to party and that's your thing, you definitely want to stay on probably at Atlantic Avenue, more toward the north end where Main Street comes in, or you want to stay, you know, up that direction where it's easier to get over to Daytona destination. And the bars are just south of that. That for us, it was kind of, you know, go one way for one thing and further north for another. And you might want to figure out where those things are at. And I'm probably at some point going to do a video on what you need to know and kind of lay out, like, these things are up here, these things are down here, there's things way out here that you might want to do. And these are the things that if you're into the party and the bars, maybe you want to stay more in this area where it's closer or easier to get to Main Street or things like that, where you can walk and not have to worry about if law enforcement's going to harass you.
So Atlantic Avenue, kind of looks like the main drag up and down the coastline. Is it relatively easy to get around, or is it bumper to bumper?
No, it was relatively easy to get around, except for around Main Street.
Okay.
Yeah. It
And that
backed
was
up
really
there.
And that was really the last half of the week that it started getting.
Well, remember
difficult.
we did it, me and you rode it by ourselves the beginning of the week, and it was kind of crazy, but it was just right there at Main Street. And then once you got past there, it wasn't bad. But we, you know, I like to party, but there was just something that I didn't feel comfortable there. And I don't know what it was. And usually, you know, things don't really bother me too much.
Yeah,
So-
she doesn't feel out of place at Freedom Rally or other places that are old school bike rallies with clubs around and other things. That stuff doesn't bother her.
I don't know. I don't know if it was just the overall of watching the way people ride and just I don't know what it was, to be honest, but I just didn't feel comfortable there and just
So Cassie says next trip that
I
you and
can't
her
fly.
can
I gotta have my own bike there to ride too.
That's right. The boys can ride and I'll be your beach buddy. Yeah, how am I going to ride your bike there and mine?
Cassie, you can bring a vehicle in case we need to go anywhere and follow us on the bikes. And then we can be beach buddies too.
John says Cassie's used to getting sand in her hoo-ha. She goes to the beach and on cruises, so I guess maybe she's adapted for that. I don't know.
What's this other? Was firecracker flashing from y'all's balcony? Looked like y'all had a great view of the surf.
She was flashing. The only people she was flashing was the dolphins out there, because there wasn't a lot of people on the beach really by the motels and stuff.
I was shocked, and that was what we were talking about earlier. Is the beach? There was hardly anybody there. There was like of a morning, you'd see people walking down the beach like they were doing their daily walk and stuff. Now, when we went to that new Smyrna, or however you say it, that beach was plumb packed. And we were like, this is where everybody's at. And maybe it was mainly because during Daytona, a lot of people don't do the beach, and that's what they have staying is a lot of motorcycles and stuff.
Was the weather conducive? I mean, was it like 80 plus during the day?
70s, 8.
So
it's like not bad.
Yeah, they'll hit the beach at 70 down there. They weren't afraid of the weather.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Riding on
70
Threes brought up that this was his first time going over to Dr. Mary McLeod, Bethane Boulevard area, and I want to spend more time over there next time and give it some love as well. I know that's where the Dam Show was. The Detroit Antique Motorcycle Show was on, I think, Bethane Boulevard. We didn't get over to that. We didn't have, that was on Saturday afternoon, and we didn't have vehicles at that point. But definitely something that I would like to check out in the future or see again. And, you know, there was a lot of things we didn't get to do. We didn't get to go to Traveling Tall's bike show. We didn't get to go to the meet and greet on Friday for Cycle Fanatics and Holy Shift was there, and some other people that I'd like to have gotten to see because we were at the
We
races.
didn't go. We didn't get to go to the Badgers.
Right, we
meet
didn't
and
make it to
greet.
the Badgers meet and greet on Friday night because traffic was getting bad, and we decided we were going to do Friday night on Main Street, and just different things like that. But there's still plenty to do that we didn't get to do that we'd like to do in the future. The one thing, I guess, maybe because we are race fans and we went to the races, that limited a few opportunities on
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday, that when a lot of people were doing other events. But that's, I guess, just part of it, because for us it was a big thing to go to the races and watch the races, and we are race fans.
Yeah.
If you're not into racing, then that frees up some time to do other stuff. Well, is there any other questions on Daytona?
Where is that Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard?
But I don't really know what I've heard of Bethune Boulevard because I saw advertisements for what they called the Dam Show, the Detroit Antique Motorcycle Show. So there was.
I thought you said that was over in St. Augustine.
No, I don't know where it was.
Oh, okay.
I just know Bethune Boulevard. So, and I don't think it was that far away because Matt and some of them are going there Saturday when we left. They were going to run by there. So,
Hey.
Detroit, hang on. Detroit, who put this show on, Detroit Antique Motorcycle Show, is a guy called Detroit. He was at Cycle Showcase. So he, I think, was there, and he does this show down there and stuff. So that's who was putting, when I say Dam, that's the Detroit Antique Motorcycle Show put on by Detroit.
So I do have to say, Steve, if you ever go there, there's a place called, what was it, Daytona? The restaurant we ate the last night.
Oh, the tap room.
The Daytona tap room. They have a burger. The top bun is a grilled cheese sandwich. Then it's a burger with peanut butter and jelly and whatever else. And then the bottom bun is a grilled cheese sandwich. And we got that. Mike won't eat it, but me and John got it and cut it in half. And it was freaking awesome.
Ooh,
really good. Really good. It was called the Fat Elvis.
The Fat Elvis.
Yes.
Hey, Elvis, you gonna win that race? I'm gonna win that race. Lemonade, that cool, refreshing drink.
So, Riding on 3 says it's a couple of minutes from Main Street across the bridge.
Okay.
So sounds like where it's at. Yeah, that was the Fat Elvis, and we need to give props to Matt Swedlin because he's the one that recommended the Daytona Tap Room. He knows all the best places.
Yep.
So that, if you don't know who Matt is, you can check him out on a Tankful Adventures. I believe it's his channel. Full Tank Adventures.
I do have one point to say for everybody is if you go to the restaurants there, I feel they're reasonable on their pricing really for what you get. I mean, of course, like the food truck stuff, it's $5 or more for a hot dog. I can't even remember how much they were, but we didn't eat a lot of vendor food. We would get up and eat like a early lunch, breakfast, and then eat dinner. But I mean, I didn't feel like any of the prices were overpriced, but we've been to some rallies where they raised their prices like a lot during rallies like this. And they had their regular menus out. And
I didn't feel like they were trying to rape the bikers.
Right. I mean, for seafood, some of the prices were actually, I felt, better than what we would get around here, So I really feel that the restaurants were very good about not trying to screw us.
Well, I think what you got to remember is that Daytona, I think, is 70,000 people. So when you have, I mean, some people say it's 400,000 or 500,000 bikes come to town. I didn't feel like it was that many bikes, but maybe that's the right number. But regardless, whether you have 300,000 bikes or 400,000 bikes, when it's a town of 70,000 people, it's not that big of an invasion compared to when you're Sturgis, a town of 3,000 or 4,000 people and 300,000 bikes come to town. When you're at Sturgis and you ride down the highway between Deadwood and Sturgis, you see nothing but bikes after bikes after bikes. You do not see that at Daytona. You'll see bikes, you'll see cars, you'll see bikes, you'll see a slingshot, you'll see cars. You know, there's bikes there, but it's not like Sturgis. It's not the same feel where you're just going down the road and it's bike after bike after bike.
John, the crab legs at the hibachi, it was regular $29.99, and you got the everything with the crab legs that were all you can eat. Or if all three of us did it, then it was $22.99 for each of us. And that was the whole, like, you got all kinds of Chinese food, you got the hibachi, you got salad bar, you got sushi, you got everything included in
Ice
that.
cream.
And John ate his weight in crab legs.
Yeah, all you can eat crab legs for less than $30 is a steal, I would say, anywhere.
But I get what you're saying as far as Sturgis, but still, the price increase that they do is kind of crazy.
Right. But that's what I say. I mean, at Sturgis, when they raise the prices, it's affecting 90% of the customers because 90% of the customers are bikers. At Daytona, when they raise the prices,
It
that's
affects
not, it affects everybody because it's not 90% bikers. It's their locals are there too. You know, when we went to the all you can eat crab leg place just down the street from the racetrack, I mean, there was a few other bikers came in there and pulled in there, but it was not even half the restaurant. You know, it's a third of the clientele instead of 90% of the clientele. So I think that's why those places don't rip you off. But I do think that there are bars and places that do have probably overinflated prices for the week because of bike week that are catering to the bike crowd. Like that place we went to, the last biker bar place that John took us to, then we didn't stay. Because of
the dog,
whatever it was, dog house or
Whatever.
whatever, but it was like $10 hot dogs or something. And we're like, nah, we're out.
right. Now, I feel in Eureka Springs, when we go there, they don't raise their prices at most of the places. Like the Horseshoe has their normal menu, the Mexican restaurant does. I'm not saying every place is like that, but I feel like in Eureka Springs they don't during those.
No, there is a
Some of them do a limited menu.
There is a bar or two that has I feel like raped me over the coals. They bent me over, handcuffed me to my ankles, and stuck it
On
in
drinks. Yeah.
Yes, on drinks. They flat out were taking advantage of the bikers being in town for the event and screwing people.
John's comment, doghouse, a place where you can meet your future ex.
Poor Bill. Bill said, I'm sitting here listening to you talk about food and riding, and I haven't ridden so long I'm starting to twitch, and I'm so ready for spring fling and a ribeye at the Horseshoe Grill. You mean like you like that ribeye medium rare, juicy?
Hey, Bill, will you make sure that Mike doesn't leave his card there this time too?
I want that steak to actually moo while I eat it.
Baked potato, loaded up.
Hey, speaking of spring fling, I've been seeing on Facebook, it looks like that little biker bar that opened up last year, they closed.
Jonesy's. Yeah.
Jonesy's, yeah. But it looks
That's
like
the word. Yeah, Jonesy's is not reopening.
Trying to find a new spot, maybe over in Rogers, it looks like.
Well, and I don't know what all's going on there. I haven't investigated or asked. I mean, Jeff might be able to get me some answers, but I think they were tied in with Art's Place in some way or fashion. And I think there maybe has been some change in ownership at Art's Place over in Fayetteville as well, because I follow them. So I don't know if, there's what all's been the changes or who's associated where, but yeah, definitely some stuff going on there, but, that's okay. We know where we can get good food in Eureka Springs.
Oh,
yeah. Riding on Threes is going to try and make it to BBQ. Won't be able to make Spring Fling. We'll definitely be there for BBQ. We have not made our reservations yet. We're going to have to get that figured out pretty quick. We got homecoming kind of tentatively planned. So the next thing on the list is, and we have a place we can stay for Bike Fest. So we got to figure out BBQ next. BBB and Q. All right, guys. Well, it's pushing 2 hours. So if I'm not boring everybody to death, and then we'll just go ahead and call it a night. If you have questions, make sure you get them out there. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and remind you that in 2 weeks we're going to do this again. And I don't know who all will get on the show, but we are going to be talking about Spring Fling and the things that are going on there and promoting that event, and just whatever else that comes up. We got some things going on between now and then, so maybe we'll have some more stuff to talk about or to announce.
I'll be heading to Arizona Bike Week, so if anybody's got questions about that, I went 2 years ago.
Damn you.
I'm going to get you guys out there here soon.
You scout it out, make us a little map where all the little, what was that? What was the name of that club right down the street from the first resort we stayed at? Biggins?
The strip club?
Yeah. Wasn't it called Biggins?
I don't remember.
I like 'em
We
big.
did not go to any strip clubs. Maybe that's what that made my trip not as exciting. No,
Biggins.
I lied.
Yeah,
Damn bucks, and I cannot lie.
Yeah, they had Biggins.
Biggins.
That was the name of the strip club. We found Gentleman's Club just down the street from our first resort. Drove by it 2 or 3 times at least for the first couple of days. Every time we go to the resort and back. Now, I will say, while we're talking about, what was your favorite place to eat at for the whole week? April?
my favorite place to eat at the whole week.
If best food, best atmosphere, which one would you, if you go back, you have to do again?
I can't say that any of them are a have to do again. They were all amazing food. And I ate mostly, seafood and stuff like that. So I don't really know that I could say that any of them are ones that I definitely have to eat at again. When I go, what I'm going to say for where I got to definitely eat again is anywhere that has crab legs and shrimp and stuff like that.
Hey, Dallas
what I'm
wants to
gonna
know if
say.
you had sushi. Did you have any sushi?
No sushi. Where do you see that at?
I've just made it up.
Oh, no
So-
sushi. Actually, I did have sushi at where we had the crab leg, all you could eat crab leg stuff.
Yeah.
I found the sushi after I was already stuffed full, and I was like, I cannot go without getting sushi, so I had to get me some.
There you go.
So John said the tap room was his number one place to eat
Tap room.
and go back. And the tap room was good. But I would
That's
say
where the-
probably atmosphere and scenery and just the whole thing. I kind of like setting out outside at Hidden Treasures after we got done at the lighthouse and having lunch there. You can see the inlets, you can see the water.
Yeah.
It was a covered porch kind of thing, but the food was, I don't know, the food wasn't maybe spectacular, but it was not bad. I mean, I had what was it called? Key jerk or something, jerk chicken tacos.
Yeah.
I love jerk chicken.
They had, I think they were $3 margaritas, John, but I wouldn't know. But they had $5 off on tacos. Damn you. Now I'm thinking about Merlot steak strips. I hear that there's some pretty good steak strips at the Cat House. And then also what was it? What was the bar we went to where we had to try the steak tips?
Iron Saloon.
Was it the Iron Horse?
Iron Horse Saloon. Yeah.
Everybody says you got to try the steak tips there, but I don't know if during bike week when there's 400 people in there is the right time to do that. But it was not bad. We did have steak tip sandwiches. Yeah. 3 said I've always had to have the steak tips at the Iron Horse Saloon.
Is the Iron Horse Saloon, is it open year round? I think that's a big bike bike
Well,
power.
she talked like they do things year round, like benefits and like raise money for stuff. So
Okay.
Yeah, the Iron Horse is right across the street was Boot Hill Saloon, and other one we went to. There's 3 or 4 like right there within a couple blocks of each other. You can walk from one to the other.
Cool.
In fact, we parked at one and walked up to the other.
Good.
All right. Well, guys, I think we are pushing 9 o'clock. So I'm going to call tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching the live and hanging out with us and having a good time. I am out of alcohol, nothing left but ice here. So I think that's time to go. Oh, Broken Spoke was the other one, April. Broken Spoke, Boot Hill, and Iron Horse. Broken Spoke's where we almost got the parking tickets.
yeah.
So thank everybody for tuning in, hanging out with us. We've had a good time, and we'll do it again in 2 weeks. We'll see you then.
Peace.
Keep on riding.